Make sure you stick around to the end of this episode and you'll understand all of this. Good morning. Welcome to another episode of Salty Country. I'm in the shop this morning, pulled the excavator in last night. The plan is I'm going to put some rust inhibitor on the area down at the tracks and paint that area just to help protect it a little bit better. I did the left side last night and I was reading the instructions and it said to keep it dry for 24 hours. So I'll share how to install this rust inhibitor on this side and let you see what the process is and how it looks and all that kind of good stuff. But while I've got this thing in here, I may do a few other things. One of the plans is to change out the final drive oil. I've got that. And then I may paint the top on this thing's fiberglass. It needs a coat of paint on it. So I'm gonna paint the steel down at the tracks. I'm gonna paint it black. And so while I've got black out, I might as well paint the top and get a good coat of paint on that. So I'm gonna try to get this buttoned up, you know, get this taken care of prior to winter. And that way it's protected a little bit better. I've also got to address this pin right here. This pin's working its way out. On the other side, it has a place for a bolt to go through the pin. At some point prior to me purchasing it, that bolt sheared. So it's just gonna be a matter of me knocking the pin out far enough that I can see where it sheared, knock that bolt out of the pin, and then line it up and get it back in and put a bolt in it. That pin has worked in probably about an inch right now, so I need to get that taken care of. But that's the plan. So stick around and I'll show you the process of installing this rust inhibitor on this steel. All right, here's the area that I did yesterday. You can see it's kind of turned the brown rust into a black, kind of darker color. This dirt came off the tracks as I pulled it down here. I'll have to shop vac that off before I paint it. And I'll have to clean the other side up because I'm sure it's got dirt on it also. Pressure washed this thing about a week or so ago. So yeah, I want to get a coat of paint on this and protect it. And then there's the final drive. I'm gonna drain those, get fresh gear oil in them, and work on a few other things on this. I did buy a whole gallon of Caterpillar paint probably 6 or 8 months ago. I was in one of the stores around here that it's kind of a salvage store. They get stuff in periodically that's either been in a fire or a vehicle semi-wrecked or something, and they get all the inventory. But I got a whole gallon of Caterpillar yellow or orange or whatever. I would say probably Caterpillar yellow. So I'm gonna probably touch up some of this yellow if I have time before the weather turns too cool. But so the first goal is gonna be getting a coat of paint on the tracks, getting the gear oil changed. And we'll walk over here and take a look at this pin I was talking about. You can see how far that pin has worked itself out. Here's where the bolt goes through that pin. So I've got to knock this pin approximately 2.5 inches out this way so that I can find where that bolt drops in, because the bolt is sheared off inside the pin, so turning the pin and all that kind of stuff can't really see and line it up. So what I'm gonna do is pull it out, not the sheared bolt out, and line it up and drive it back in to where I can put a new bolt in right there. All right, it's a few days later. I got me some more cheap paint brushes. We're going to treat this side, the rust on this side. So stick around, let me get my stuff together and we'll start treating it. All right, here's the product I'm using. Permatex rust treatment. This stuff, it's a small bottle, but I would probably say I got 3/4 of a bottle left, or 2/3 of a bottle left after I did the other side. So it goes a long way. I shook it up good, and see if we can get this piece to come off the top. Just wanted to stick the last time I did it. It's got this cardboard piece that typically stays in the lid. This product is white, a milky white color. All right, yeah, when you put it on, it's kind of like a white, milky, paint-looking substance. It's real runny. I pressure washed this side the other day before I did the other side, well, a day or two before. But it says to keep this product dry for at least 24 hours after you treat it the second time. So I checked the weather after I finished coating it, and we ended up getting the first rain that we've had probably a month. That night into the next morning, so I was like, okay, I gotta put this thing in the shop. So this is the first time that the excavator's been in here since I built it. But kind of cool outside. Fall's kind of set in. It's been, I think the high today was around 68, 9. Lows around 40. So it's nice and cozy here in the shop. It's probably mid-70s in here right now, if I had to guess. I do need to get me a thermometer put in here so I can know what the temperature is in here. But this instructions say to put this on and let it sit for 20 or 30 minutes. And you'll see probably by the time I finish this side that front will probably start turning some. I may not have put enough in here, but my knees are bad, so it's very difficult for me to get down here and do stuff like this. I can't get comfortable, and my back starts getting old. All right, I'm gonna keep doing this, and I'll bring y'all back when I get this side coated, that you see what it looks like. It's been about 5 minutes, maybe. I don't even know if it's been that long. We'll take a look at it here in a minute. All right, I coated it. It's been 30 minutes since I finished, and you can see how it's turned. So I'm about to start the second coat. It said wait 30 minutes, put the second coat on, so I'm gonna do that, and then at some point I'll get some paint and paint it. This product isn't a primer, so it just treats the rust so that you can prime it. Set that out of the way, hope I don't bump it. Once I get this all completed, I will probably do the final drive oil, and then I think the plan is going to be to get back on the rock wall that I was building. It's cooled off a good bit. Austin was just over here and my son, and we were looking at the weather. We got another chance of rain on Sunday again this week. high on Sunday's gonna be 61. Lows in the upper 40s, low 50s. And then next week, we've got some lows at night around 37. So we'll probably get a frost out here next week. But I enjoy this time of year. After winter, I really enjoy spring, and I enjoy summer for a little while till it gets blue blazing humid. And I don't mind it being humid for a little while. But after a while, it gets old. If you've never been to the South when it's humid, you can just walk outside and you'll start sweating. Not doing anything, just standing there. So, used to it, grew up in it. That's the reason why they make AC. Because you get tired of being out in it, just go inside. Yeah. A lot of people take off to Florida and move down there from up north, and they've never been in Florida through a complete summer. And a lot of them move back or move to another area because they just can't handle the heat and humidity. Once you get Pensacola, you know, it still has seasons there. You don't get as cold. It's typically 10 degrees to 20 degrees warmer in the winter time. Than it is here 300 miles south of us. But once you get down around Orlando, Tampa, Miami, they enjoy the winter because then their temperatures are down in the 80s during the winter, and they get some 70s. But I want a break. I like the seasons. That's what I like about Pensacola. It's very mild winters. But Pensacola has grown a lot, changed a lot since I was stationed there. And it's not the little quiet beach that it once was, since everybody's kind of figured it out. Most of the people in this area go down to Destin and Panama City Beach. They have it's more tourist type atmosphere.
which Pensacola Beach is getting kind of that way now for places to eat, but as far as places to go and have fun, you know, go-kart, different activities, they don't have that stuff in Pensacola at the beach. They do have it inland, but I think people like those other areas because they can walk. But the traffic, I haven't been over to Panama City Beach in years, but I see videos that people post, and traffic over there is crazy compared to Pensacola. Pensacola gets a little crazy in the summer. To get over to the beach there, you have to cross over 3 Mile Bridge from Pensacola to Gulf Breeze. It's about probably 2 miles on the island of Gulf Breeze, or the peninsula of Gulf Breeze. And then you cross another bridge to go out to the peninsula of Pensacola Beach. And I've seen traffic in the summertime backed up all the way across the 3 Mile Bridge, and traffic's in Pensacola trying to get to Pensacola Beach. So that's probably a good 6 miles, maybe 7 miles. This is kind of the worst traffic I've seen. But it gets like that on holiday weekends down there. If we're down there on a holiday weekend, we don't go to the beach via driving. If we got the boat down there, we put the boat in and go out on the water. But I usually avoid holiday weekends just because of the idiots on the water drinking and being stupid. But I'm about to wrap this up. This is just to treat the brush so that I can prime it and paint it, just to protect it for some more years. It's got some rust pitting on it, but it's 1/2 inch steel, so it's probably got some 1/16 or 1/8 inch pitting. So I just wanted to go ahead and treat it, stop it, so that it lasts a little bit longer, not get weak. These things will typically last for years. I don't know that I've ever seen where one of these has failed because of too much rust, but they probably do in Florida. People running around salt water. Just about got this wrapped up. I will show you the finished product. I don't know if it will be today or if it'll be when I come out here again to do the next step of painting or pull this thing. You know what though? I will probably go ahead and paint this before I pull it out, because if I pull it out or remove the tracks, it's gonna have dust all over this again and dirt. So, one thing the instructions on this says, if you have any left, I should like just pour a little bit at a time. It says, do not pour it back into your container because it starts a reaction when you touch this to the metal. So any stuff that's gotten on your brush gets in the paint that you got left on here, and if you pour it back in the container, it will start a reaction inside the container that won't be any good based on what they're saying. So anyway, that's all for that. I'll let that dry out, throw that brush away, save my container. I got a few extra brushes. I may need a brush or two when I start painting it. I'm gonna try to roll this with a small roller. I can get a small roller in there. I got one that's extended. All right, I'll be back whenever this thing dries at some point to show you what it looks like. All right, real quick. The pin was out on this side, and I talked about I was gonna knock it out so I could knock the bolt out. This thing's never had a bolt in it since I've had it, so I assumed that the bolt was sheared that goes in there and goes through the pin. Well, I drove the pin out far enough that I could see where it should have a hole. Was thinking the bolt was gonna be sheared in the hole. The pin don't even have a hole in it. So I knocked the pin back in. I'll just watch it. I'll contact Cat and give them a measurement and measure what it is to my hole and see if they've got a pin that I can replace this one with that's got the hole so I can put a bolt in it. My only other option is I can take this thing and knock the pin out and just take it to a machine shop and have them drill me a hole through it, which if that pin's too pricey, that's exactly what I'll do. Okay, here's the finished product. It's dried for 24 hours. Next step, put a coat of paint on this, and then move on to final drives. All right, it's a couple days later. I'm headed to grab some Rust-Oleum paint so I can get the tracks painted. Hopefully today I can get the final drives serviced and excavator will be ready to go. But stick around in this episode. I got a pretty cool story to share with everyone. All right, I'm back in the shop. I got some paint mixed up. Got it on top of the canopy. I'm gonna start up there, get a coat of paint on it, and then I'm going to paint the track frame. So stick around and we'll take a look at this once I get the top done, and then we'll start on the track frame. All right, I'm about to wrap this side up. I may have to put another coat on this. Not sure. Just want to protect it from the sun, block some of the UV rays from breaking down the fiberglass. But as you can tell along the front there, you can kind of see where the paint was kind of thin. All right, I'm going to give you some more paint. We'll be right back. All right, got me some more paint.
continue on. Had to turn the fans on in here. This oil-based paints smell the place up. Alright, let's see if I can reach right here. Get part of this front again and see if it makes a difference with a second coat. See how that looks in a little bit. Yeah, I did something pretty cool yesterday. I'll share that with you in a little bit. Alright, I'm gonna have to open this door up so I can get the ladder back here, finish up the back. Alright, I had to change shirts too while I opened this door up. It's warmed up nicely. Just got a Caterpillar sticker across here. I'll try to just stay fairly close to it. Nothing exact. Gotta be careful, this stuff will drip. Try to get this before I get a bunch of paint in there. It'll want to run. Yeah, this next week, we're gonna get into the 30s at night. So we'll probably have frost. I may have to get the brush a hold of that bottom right there. It's kind of concave. All right, let me get repositioned. Actually, let me grab my brush.
I'll go ahead and knock this bottom out. That way I don't have to reposition again. It's just a cheap brush. I was trying to paint something to be perfect. I definitely had a better brush, but just getting a coat of paint on it. A couple nights ago, I was over by the garage grilling supper. Looked out here by the shop. There are 3 does standing out here. Alright, let me get this last side right here. Alright, we're going to paint this side. I'm not going to show the other side when I do it, but we'll paint this side together and see how it looks. And then at some point you'll see the excavator out and about again being used. I'm just using Rust-Oleum gloss black. All right, here's this side. Coat of paint on it. The top is kind of I don't know, it kind of looks flat and black, but it's because it's fiberglass. But I got a coat on it. And then here's the other side. So, pleased with it. Had a little bit of paint left over. And so I went ahead and, well, I got a lot of paint left over, but I had some in the pan. And I went ahead and put a coat of paint on these. I like to have paint where water stands, so I went ahead and painted these legs, and water and dirt kind of
stay here in the front. It rushed a little bit more, so got a coat of paint on that. One of these days I may go through this thing and paint a lot of things, but for right now, it's just get a coat of paint on the tracks with my goal. Got a coat of paint on the top just to protect it. Got a coat of paint on this now. All right, let me tell you about my adventure yesterday. All right, this morning when I started painting the top, you might have seen I had on a black sweatshirt that said AMP Kart Racing. So yesterday, the company I work for had a team building event. Periodically, they like to get us away from work and let us all go have some fun together. And so yesterday, we went to Dawsonville, Georgia, which is 2.5 hours north. So that's the home of Bill Elliott and Chase Elliott. If you follow NASCAR, you know that. But we went up there. I forget the name of the little restaurant. There's a restaurant in town that Bill used to go to after all of his wins. And we had lunch there. Great place. If you ever go up there, check out that place. And I recommend the Bully Burger. First hamburger I've ever had with coleslaw on it. And their slaw was outstanding. It's very easy to get coleslaw in some places. It's not too good. Theirs is great. All right, so we all met up at the restaurant, had lunch together, and then we went about, I think it was about 6 miles out of town. We went to this facility, and this place is super nice. They have condos there on the racetrack that people can buy. They have a big track for cars. You can take your cars up there, and it's like a road course. I'll share a photo that I took of the course that we were on just for the karts. But there's a huge, right next to the go-kart area, and I don't really, it's not really a go-kart, it's a racing car. I'll get into that a little bit better, but right next to that is where they race the cars, and nice facility, super nice. All right, so these karts that you ride there have a top speed somewhere around 55 miles an hour. So you can very easily, seriously injure yourself or kill yourself out there on the track. So the way it worked yesterday is there was 14 of us racing, and we had 2 practice sessions, a qualifying session, and then a 10-lap race. So my first time out, first time I've ever been on these karts, and you know, the track's a road course, so you've got long straightaways, sharp curves, winding sections, uphills, hairpin turn. It's got a 4-story drop in elevation, and then an immediate 4-story climb. So very interesting course. You got to have skill to perfect that course, let me put it that way. All right, so my first practice session. Got it, you know, you get strapped into the karts, you got helmets, you're strapped in, you adjust your seat, your pedals. You come out of the pit area, immediately down a hill, and so I just
got into this cart to the floor, and this thing was booking. When you come up over the hill, they get a little bit light. That's how fast you're going. So anyway, the first practice session, I was just working on how to brake at certain turns, when to brake at certain turns, what line to take. The carts only have rear brakes, so if you're turning and you get hard on the brakes, you're spinning out. So you gotta typically brake when you're going straight, cut enough speed so that when you turn, you get back into the gas and the car to hold the track. So, on the first practice session, I finished 13th out of 14. And I was like, I wasn't out there to get a fast time. I was out there to try to figure out lines and where to brake and all that kind of stuff. And at some point in here, I'll share a couple videos of the carts that were racing when we walked up. I got a couple short clips. I'll put that in there, and I'll also put a photo of the course that we raced. All right, so we go out for practice number 2, and it's about a 12-minute, 15-minute session. The course is, I think, 0.87 miles long, so it's almost a mile. So, second session, I was a little faster, wanted to hit some of these turns fast, see if my line was good, see if my braking was good. I spun out a couple times, but after that session, we come back in and I had improved to 9th position out of 13. So in between these sessions, you take about a 15-minute break. And so we all got back together for the qualifying race. And I will say this, a lot of it depends on the carts you get. There were a couple carts that guys were in that complained about the carts, and so they pulled, we requested, and they pulled those carts and replaced them. But the thing about the 2 practice sessions and even qualifying and then racing, it's a random draw every time, so you don't get the same cart. So one thing I figured out from my first session, you go out there and the carts, we were the first session of the day, so the tires aren't warm, and so you got to get your tires warmed up and that kind of stuff. And once you get them warmed up, they'll really grip. So we got to qualifying, and qualifying is, I think he said it was 8 or 10 laps, and it was your fastest lap is how qualifying worked. So if you spun out, just write that lap off and try to improve on the next lap. So qualifying, you just got to come to this point of, I'm going all out, and whatever happens, happens. I've kind of got my lines, I got where I'm going to brake, and just go for it. So qualifying, I got after it. I spun out 3 times on 3 separate laps in qualifying, but the other laps I had, I was pedal to the metal and off of the gas, hard on the brakes in turns, back hard on the gas. So anyway, we come back in after our practice session, and I was like, dang, I spun out 3 times, I wasted 3 laps, and we went into the board because every cart has a electronic tracking device, So I come back in and I qualified number 1 on the pole. And I was like, crap, I didn't want to do that. I wanted to be, midfield, and try to work my way through the field. Now I'm a sitting duck. And so anyway, they randomly drew cars again. And what they do, instead of you starting at the pit area, you go about 3/4 of the way down the straightaway where you come out of the pits, and they have a line, and they line you up side by side, and he waves the green flag there. So here I am on the inside front row. I've got Todd, one of my colleagues, to the right of me, and he's done very well through all the practices, and he's done that course before. And then behind me I had Zach, another colleague, and Zach had done very well, and he'd been up there before also. So here I am, never done this before. We had not started all day side by side like this, and probably 50 or 75 feet in front of us was the first turn. And so I'm like sitting there thinking, I don't want to mess these guys up. These guys have been doing very well today. I can very easily take myself and these first few guys out of the race if I don't do this right. So anyway, he waved the green flag. All was well. I didn't go into turn 1 too aggressive, and got through turn 1. Probably was 3/4 of the way through the lap, and Todd and Zach passed me. And so at that point, I was just trying to stay. When they passed me, I said, all right, I gotta be smart. They'll probably get tangled up at some point, and then I can go back around them. So it was a 10-lap race. I spun out very minor, was able to recover, didn't lose any positions. I think around lap 4 or 5, I got nailed. We were going into a turn to the right. I got nailed right in the right rear, spun my cart around. I was almost completely sideways, corrected into the slide, stayed in the gas, was able to save the cart. So the colleague that hit me, it messed him up. It spun him out. He lost several positions. So I think it was around lap 6 or 7, going into another turn, I got tagged again. Almost the same way, trying to take me out. Again, I was able to save the cart, stayed in the gas, turned into the slide, and so that guy, the colleague that hit me, he was able to hold his position also, but he lost some distance between me and him. So I think it was a lap 7 or 8, I lapped one of the guys, and I was like, all right, awesome. I got somebody between me and the other guys that are trying to knock me out of this. And anyway, I was able to survive. Zach ended up finishing first, Todd finished second, and I finished third. Super fun, but I'm gonna tell you, it's not for the faint at heart. Our company, we signed waivers for our company because that's how dangerous it is. And then when we got to the track, you have to sign waivers there. But if you've never done it before, I would suggest if you're interested, go do it and try it. But if you don't like speed, I mean, because your butt's right there on the ground and you're running 55 miles an hour. So if you don't think you can handle that, then this place ain't for you. But anyway, it was a fun day. So once we finished, the guy calls out the first 3 positions, and he says, all right, everybody else go outside. You first 3 guys come with me. So he took us upstairs, and we go out on a balcony, and they have the winner's block sitting there, and had some Welch's grape juice bottles for all of us. And so he got us all on the podium, had us shake them up. All of our colleagues were standing down below us, and we sprayed all of them with Welch's grape juice. But super fun day, super fun day. But anyway, if you're interested in it, search Amped Kart Racing in Dawsonville, Georgia. I think there's some stuff on YouTube, but super nice facility, fun time. But you gotta wanna feel the need for speed to go do that course. But I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up. I wanna thank everyone for watching. Remember, if you like our content, subscribe, share it with your friends. We'll see you on the next one.
Like 750.